Good afternoon. Welcome, bienvenue, and willkommen. My name is Kelly Lamb. I'm the Vice President of Marketing here at Miele. And as you are in your home, we want to welcome you into our home this afternoon. We're glad you can join us at Miele Live. Over the past weeks, we've brought you live sessions on covering various topics, from how to get the best performance out of your Miele dishwasher, how to take care of the most delicate of clothing in your Miele laundry machine, and which is the best vacuum for you and your household. Pour ceux d'entre vous qui ont demandé d'avoir des sessions en français, vous pouvez aller maintenant sur YouTube pour avoir des sessions qui est en français avec nous. Miele Live is completely interactive. If you're watching us on YouTube, be sure to log into your YouTube account and you can ask questions in the comment section. Or if you're watching us on mielelive.ca, be sure to just register with us on Miele Live and you can leave your questions in the comments box there. Again, these sessions are completely interactive and live with you today. We hope we're able to answer questions you may have, either about products you own or products that you're actually looking to buy from us right now. Be sure to check out miele.ca, our shop. Our online shop is open 24/7 for you. So I'm really excited this afternoon to have Marilyn join us back. And Marilyn, today we're going to talk about using the steam oven and steam function for two different things other than necessarily cooking per se. Right. What are we going to do?
We're going to start off with making some homemade yogurts. And then after that, we are actually going to be canning some tomatoes.
Perfect.
All right. So
where do you want to start?
So why don't we start with anytime that you're canning and you're using some jars, we should sterilize the jars. And that's where, again, the DGC, Combi Steam, or the steam oven is great for that. So maybe what I'll do is, Kelly, if you could grab 2 jars.
Sure.
Open them up, and we're going to actually place them into the steam oven.
Okay.
And we're going to place them directly on the rack, but upside down. So once you turn that on, and you'll go to special modes.
Those in here. Yeah. I'm going to put the lids in there too, Marilyn?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Right on the rack?
Right on the rack.
Okay, I'm just going to separate the lids.
Perfect. All right. So under special modes, and you're going to scroll down to sanitize, and it will say cookware.
Sanitize cookware. And this same program is available, Marilyn, in the Combi Steam oven?
Yes.
Because this one, we're using our steam oven.
Just our steam oven, yes.
So it
is
says,
available.
Place containers on the rack, open side facing downwards, which I've done.
Which you've done.
I'm going to hit OK.
Yes. So now there's a time that it's asking you for, right?
Correct.
So let's do for 3 minutes.
3 minutes, OK.
Press OK.
Close door.
Yes.
We've already got the water in for the steam oven. Perfect.
Right. So once it reaches boiling point, it'll steam for 3 minutes. And then we'll actually talk about how removing them from the oven as well, just to keep everything sterile.
Okay, so while we're waiting for that,
yes.
What are you going to start with on your station right now?
I'm going to start making the yogurt. So simple steps, actually. Just making yogurt, especially a lot of times we like to have that in the morning, afternoon for a snack. So I actually have measured out 1 liter of milk. And I'm just going to pour that into my pot. I'm actually doing this on the induction. And with the induction, what will happen is that this will come to a boil. So you want to bring it to about 180 degrees or boiling point. We want to do that because when we actually make the yogurt, we're going to be adding some active cultures that are in there. So I need this to come up to kill any bacteria that's in the milk as well. And then we'll add the active culture in there. And then really I'm just going to put it into the jars, and we're going to put it into our oven as well. So let's just wait for this to just get to boiling.
Now, Marilyn, to make this yogurt recipe, from a milk perspective, is there any specific, whether it's 1%, non-fat, can you use any option of milk there?
It's your choice whether you would like to use 1%, 2%, or whole milk. So you can do that. Sometimes what you have to also watch is that when you're selecting, unless you're using a batch of yogurt that you've made before, if you've run out and completely forgot to save some, and you are purchasing, you want to kind of make sure that you have some fat content that's in there. So if you're doing 2% of whole milk, don't do the non-fat. So you want to have maybe a 2% that's going in there. So I'm actually already seeing some
Yeah, I can already
bubbles.
see some steam from way over here.
Yeah. And you always want to use a wooden spoon, not a metal spoon, to stir this. So I'm just going to, I want to make sure that I'm not going to burn the milk. That's really important as well with this. So once I see it coming to a boil, a few minutes on here. And then what we're going to do is, as I mentioned, I'm going to, with induction, one of the things about this is that you really do not want to step away from here too much, because once it starts, I just don't want the milk to overflow. So I'm going to grab my jars in a few seconds. I can see it
And
bubbling.
actually, in the 5 o'clock session later today, we're going to go in more in depth into induction with our product expert, Mike, in comparing induction with gas. So it'll be a perfect segue when we actually talk at 5 o'clock about induction versus gas.
So can you actually hear that, Kelly? Like it's actually starting.
Yeah, I can see the steam again
bubbling effect over here.
from over here.
I just want to see that first bubble, because I don't want to overboil this. So it's almost there. And we don't want to cheat this, because if you cheat this, I'll show you what ends up happening if you don't bring it to that right temperature that's in there. Okay. So I see it now. I'm going to bring it down, because this is already starting. Okay. So you can measure it, but I know that this is piping hot right now, so I don't want to put my finger in there. So what I'm going to do now is, because we want to make sure that we bring this down now to 110 degrees. So why don't I...
So I'm going to drop this over for you.
Thank you. Yep. Thank you.
So why is it important to actually cool it down to 110, Marilyn?
Because now that we've brought the milk to a boiling point and we've killed any bacteria that's in there, when we want to cool this down is because when we add the culture that's in there, if it's too hot, it will kill it. So
and obviously the culture is required to make yogurt.
Yes.
Any specific place you can buy it? Was it easy to buy?
Yeah, it was easy to buy. Just anywhere that you purchase your yogurt, to be honest with you, is where you are going to be picking up the actual pack. So you just even need a small pack, not a large one. And this is dropping very fast here, and I want to make sure I hit it at the one between 108 and 110.
And does that come in a powder format, by the way, the
culture?
Yes.
It does come in a powder format, and but just having one that's already done is fine, because now when you combine it that it's dissolved completely. So I'm at 129, 27. And one of the reasons why you want to catch it at 110 is because, Kelly, if you end up going too low, you want to, you may have to boil this again, because otherwise this will not work. So I just want to make sure that
So really, as part of this process, you really do need a thermometer.
Yes.
That would really help in this particular
yes,
case.
Absolutely. And one of the parts about this, why I'm saying I'm going to show you, is because when I first started making yogurt, I kind of thought, oh, I don't really need to be precise.
Right.
But I learned
But
differently.
you do.
Yes. So let me just take this off because it's at 110 on here. And so now what you're going to do is you want to now drop, so I'm going to place actually 3 tablespoons of yogurt.
So you're adding yogurt into there.
Into the actual milk, because that's my active culture now.
Okay.
Okay, so this is what will start the process for you to make your yogurt. So if you didn't add this in there and you're thinking, oh, I'm just going to put it into the oven now, I don't need to add anything, you will need to add something in here.
So could I add that without actually yogurt, or and could I put the starter right into the milk
While it was boiling?
afterwards once it got to
110?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what I did.
Okay.
So you want to add it soon as you've reached the 110.
So I could put the powder directly in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then mix it up real well.
Okay.
So I want to just whisk this well so that I know I've got no lumps that's in there, and I think I'm good. So let me just take you to the next step. So as I mentioned to you before, the jars, I've sterilized the jars itself. So I'm going to put them, that was 1 liter of milk. So when you add the culture in here, so with it being the yogurt, what will end up happening is that you will have a little bit more than 1 liter, right? Because it's created that. So let me, and this is another good pointer on here. Because I've sterilized it, I don't want my hands all over this. So I just want to make sure that with my jar, that's my lid, and I have this little handy device here, so I'm just going to bring this over.
And Marilyn, if you don't have that, because I certainly don't have that at all.
If you don't have it, you can handle it, but just make sure you're handling it right at the edge on here. But I found that, you know what, just in all safety to make sure that everything's fine, it wouldn't be bad. I know at home sometimes I just use a regular magnet if I need to. So I'm filling this up. So see, as I mentioned, that you'll get a little bit left in here.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then finally, one of the things that you do want to make sure is that you want to make sure that the sides and the top of this jar is completely dry. And the reason for that is that we are going to complete the seal once it actually is in the oven. You want that to seal completely. Okay, so now that I know that this is dry, I'm going to put this on, and don't over twist it. Okay, that's one of the secrets about canning as well, is that you don't want to over twist it, otherwise you could crack the jar itself.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so this is how simple that was, just to make the yogurt. So now what you're going to do with this is that I'm going to place it into my oven, and I like to put it on a perforated tray. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to turn on the oven, and this program is available in the Steam on its own as well as with the DGC. So I'm going to go into MasterChef.
And the DGC being the Combi Steam oven.
Yes, thank you. I'm pressing special, and in there it says make yogurt. How simple is that, really? So you just make yogurt. And put it onto the second shelf, because I'm going to say now start now, sorry. And you'll notice here it says 5 hours. So what this does now is that because we've brought it to a boil, we've cooled it, we've added the culture that's in there. Now we're going to let it sit into a low temperature. So usually this runs approximately about 105 degrees. And it could be a little bit more. I just have to check my recipe on that because it didn't see what program that was on here. But it runs on there. So once it's completed, what you want to do is then you want to take it out, and then you want to put it in the fridge, and then you can use it the next day. So because we won't be here for 5 hours, I have actually gone ahead and I have made this so because I want to show you how the end result is supposed to be here. This is almost like the what you should do and what you shouldn't do.
And it's okay to make mistakes.
Yeah, exactly. So
Now, Marilyn, while you're just doing that, so we have a lot of questions coming in, so we see them. We'll try to get to them as we go along in this segment. We have one question from Sylvie Gagnon. Sylvie has a question of when you had that on the cooktop, I assume your milk and culture, was that on high?
Yes. So on the cooktop, I brought it high because I wanted to bring it to a boil. But that's why I was watching it closely. But I don't want to leave it there for a long period of time. Otherwise, what ends up happening is that you may end up scorching the milk, and you don't want to do that. So once I saw that it was coming to that boil there, I removed it, and then at that time, you want to then bring it back down to 110. So when I was originally testing this at different ways in our oven, and I was kind of rushing through the process there thinking, really, do we need to get it to this temperature? So what ended up happening, and I'm going to open this a little bit here to show you. So instead of having yogurt, what I ended up having was this creamy process, which, it's fine, but it's not set completely because that's not what I was looking for in here.
It'd make a nice yogurt sauce, though.
Yes, definitely.
For a dressing or...
So what I wanted to do is, what I actually want to have after that, when this comes out of the oven, that you'll notice that when we check it later on, is that you want this consistency that, see how solid that is? And that's just the way that's on the top there. So I scooped it just to see, but now there's a big difference on here. So I've got it here. So this is why it's very important for you to make sure that temperature is correct and that you are bringing it down and before adding your culture. And once the culture's gone in, once you've set it, then basically this is ready for you to enjoy. So, you can just serve it this way. And it's nice and firm, which is really nice. So, now this will keep in your fridge for up to about 3 weeks on there, so which is nice. But I know in our home, we like to actually have the yogurt with some fruits. So you could actually just have some blueberries on here, a couple of raspberries. Maybe if you want some strawberries, just to put in there. And then what's nice is literally to just have a little bit of granola. I know that's a favorite in our house as well. So the granola, and then I finish it off sometimes because the longer you steam the yogurt itself, it can have a little bit of a tart taste to it, like any yogurt that you buy in the store. But if you want to sweeten it up a little bit more, then you can get some nice organic honey, just to drizzle that over. And there you go. You have a nice serving of yogurt that was done in our steam oven or our combi steam unit. And once this, again, when it goes down, just make sure to keep a little bit of this, at least 2 to 3 tablespoons on here, because you want to add this now to your next batch.
So it's almost like a sourdough starter.
Yes.
Where you actually keep a bit of it.
Yes.
To keep it for the next batch.
Yeah, absolutely. That's it. That's what you would need to do. So that is how easy it is to make the yogurt.
Great.
And that's the first part. And that's where coming in and showing you the sterilization of that. So why don't we actually, Kelly, go over to you? Because now we're going to start the...
You're going to make me work a bit.
I'm going to make you work a little bit,
Sure.
yes. So on here. So I did hear that I think with the jars almost done,
It's still got
Good.
some time left.
Okay, so that's good. So when we want to can tomatoes, one of the easiest ways that I found is that you just, I've washed the amount of tomatoes that's there. You can use any other, but you have to remember also when you look at it that any blemishes on there, anything with...
Right, so anything like that, I
Yes.
really want to take
you want
off.
to take that off, exactly.
Okay.
And then what you want to do is you just want to like score the bottom of the tomatoes. Because what that does, so let's do that with all of the tomatoes that are there, Kelly. And then what we're going to do on there, or even if you just do, I need at least 14, because I know about 14 is what will actually fill a jar for the 1 liter jar there. And then what I found is the easiest way is that because when you are actually canning tomatoes, you want to remove the skin, obviously. And this is why we're going to be using a blanching process in our oven. And once this is done,
and when we score, the great part is it's easy to peel because that little bit of skin will peel back during the blanching process.
Exactly.
And we can take it right off
exactly.
at that point.
And that's what I like with this because, before we used to boil it in the pots and then you'd really do a quick dip inside and then rinse it through. But doing it in our ovens is really fast, actually. So and you'll get to see that soon.
So Marilyn, while I'm doing this,
Yes.
If you wouldn't mind maybe taking a question.
Yes.
So we have Shelby from Toronto.
Yes.
And Shelby has a question about the sanitization and how do you know how long to sanitize for?
Well, very nice to hear from you, Shelby. So what normally happens is that when you are sanitizing jars, so when they're brand new, I would say probably about 10 minutes is what you should sanitize, so that way it's nice and clean when you have them out. If you're reusing jars, one of the things that you have to watch is always look to make sure there isn't any chips on there, there's no little slight crack on the top because you don't want to be having that. But usually about 10 minutes is a good safe bet on that. Because that way you've removed any germs or bacteria that might be inside the jars itself.
Okay, I think I've got enough here.
Yes, okay. Perfect.
By.
Okay, so Kelly, we're going to take that over to our the XXL DGC steam combi oven.
Okay, and again, I'm going to be using just the steel. Well, I'm actually going to use the blanch function.
The blanch, function in there.
Does it matter, Marilyn, what rack or level I put on?
Doesn't matter.
Good.
And just a reminder to everybody as well, anytime you're using a steam function, you don't have to, you could probably just sit that on the tray there.
The
other way.
Yeah.
Should be fine there. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so now you're going into your special modes.
Yep.
And then you'll scroll over till you see blanch.
Yep, it's actually right at the very front.
And you just press OK. So blanching is about 1 minute.
After blanching food, place immediately in an ice bath.
Yes.
So that's great.
So I
that
already
it tells
have
me
that ready for you over here.
Thank you. So it started. Yeah, it's about 1 minute.
Yeah.
And actually, the sanitization is in fact done.
Done? Okay.
Yeah.
So this is what I like to do sometimes when I have the sanitization on and it's completed, is I like to leave it in there completely until the steam reduction has gone through.
Okay.
And then I will open the door a little bit until I'm actually ready. Then I'll remove the glass.
Okay.
Okay, which in our case, I've already sanitized some bottles for you.
So and I've noticed that you've taken them out. You've got a tea towel.
Yes.
Everything's very dry
Yes.
at this point.
It's all dry and it's going to be ready to go. So I'm going to actually put this over here for you, Kelly.
Perfect, thank you.
And then we're also, once that comes out, we are going to use this inside the jar. It's a funnel. And what you want to do is, once we've finished the blanching process, we will then squeeze them into the actual jars.
Okay.
And what the funnel does, actually, it leaves it clear around the edge, and you want to leave about a 1/2 inch.
Okay.
So a lot of times what we have as well is there is this tool here, and I know sometimes some people can guess, make sure it's not. I always find that when you've got it onto the second little notch that's over here, that's your 1/2 inch, okay? And when you kind of go around the jar with that, it clears it completely, so you know that you're not too much. There's no tomatoes that's sticking up there. But I know, Kelly, you can do this without that. So
we'll see what happens.
Yeah. So let's actually open up the door for the sanitization, so that way we'll just let some steam come out, as you can see. So that's really, really good when you are sanitizing, that you know how much steam moisture is coming out of that. So it's killed any bacteria that's on there. So while that is being done, I'm going to just move this over for you.
Thank you.
No problem.
So Marilyn, we'll take another question while we wait a minute here for the tomatoes to blanch, and then I'll start removing the skin.
Yes.
So obviously, a lot of people nowadays are having oat milk, coconut milk,
Right.
almond milk. Sylvie Gagnon has a question. Can you use almond milk to make the yogurt? Sorry.
Yes. Okay. You can actually use yogurt milk as well, but it's a little
Almond
bit of
milk.
almond milk. But it's a little bit of a different process, just like if you were using coconut milk. And because with that, you're not actually bringing it up to a boil, and you're putting the probiotics that's in the actual mixture itself, and it's a powdery form. So so there's a lot of process of how you do that, but it's really quick and simple, because as you notice with this now, I boiled the water, then I had to cool it down. But the other way, because a lot of times it's already pasteurized as well, it's already set there. You can just add your gelatin and then put it in your jars, and you're set to go. But if you would like, is it Sylvie?
Yeah, it's Sylvie.
I could probably send out a recipe that you could have, and then that way you can follow as to how to make it with almond milk and with coconut milk too, for anybody that has that question.
Perfect.
Okay.
We have another question from Lori. So Marilyn, Lori has a question. So she doesn't have this generation of steam ovens, which is
Right.
our generation 6000 models.
Right.
She has a previous generation, the generation 4000 models. In that model, there is no program for yogurt.
Right.
So what can Lori do? I would assume that she obviously can still use the steam oven to make the yogurt as we're
Yes.
doing now.
Yes.
But what settings does she need to do?
So what Lori should do is actually she can go in through the steam function, and then actually set the temperature for 105 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's about 40 degrees Celsius. And in this case, though, what you're going to do is that you're going to have this run. I know it's going to sound very long, but it's anywhere from for about 10 hours. And that's because the temperature is very low, and it's a precise temperature that it's holding that. So it's actually setting the yogurt in place so that when it's complete and you come, this is where you'll actually, because I did it both ways. I wanted to show a way that basically if I'm doing it through the yogurt feature, which I did as well, and it's set very well like this. And then also if I did do this at the 105 for 10 hours, how would it look? And this is how it did actually set. So you can still do this with your generation 4000. I think that's what she had.
Yes.
You said? Yes.
Yeah.
So.
Perfect.
All right.
All right. So I'm going to get ready.
Yes.
Just going to check on the tomatoes right now.
Yeah.
Not quite there yet. Almost there.
Okay.
Very, very soon.
Yeah.
So in regards to the bottles right now.
Yes.
So pretty much the steam has dissipated. So I would leave this in here until I'm ready to actually.
Yes. Until you're almost ready to use it, or if you're preparing it and you want to sterilize it the night before,
Right.
remove them, put them on a clean
So
dishcloth.
I do need to take these out to dry them.
To dry them, yeah, and then I just put them on the counter there, and that's it. And I would turn them upside down.
Okay.
So then they're all set, ready to go. And you have to watch as well right now because they are slightly hot. That's why I let them cool down naturally in the oven itself.
Okay.
Okay.
When it comes to canning, Marilyn, we're going to
Yes.
obviously do tomatoes today.
Yes.
As an example. Does this process really change if I'm canning other vegetables or other fruits as an example?
It does change if you're doing what's called raw canning. So raw canning is just that you may want to take some beans as well, and you basically would do the same thing. In this case, we wouldn't need to blanch the beans, but we could actually put them in the jar. But then you'd need a little bit of a brine, which is like a salt mixture that's in there.
Okay.
But you would still sterilize your jars. You'd put the beans in there, pour in the brine mixture, and then close it and put it back into the oven. So then it's a different temperature time. So each item that you're like vegetables or fruits that you're doing, it's not always for an hour or 2 hours. Like for example, the tomatoes, in the 1 liter jar, it takes about 45 minutes.
Okay.
In the 500 milliliter jar, it takes about 30 minutes for that too.
Okay.
So you always kind of check online to see what you are actually canning, and it'll give you the timeline on there.
So maybe as we wait again, and you can prepare me
Yes.
for the next steps.
Yes, definitely.
So when the tomatoes come out, I'm going to shock them in some ice water that
Yes.
you've very kindly prepared for me.
Yes.
Then,
Actually, this one is yours, Kelly.
whoops. Then I'm actually going to go ahead and start taking the skin off.
Yes. So when you take the skin off, what I like to do is I like to put the skin in a bowl separately, because many times when you're filling your jar with the tomatoes, if you find that you don't have enough tomatoes and there's still some space on the top, a lot of times I'll ask you to boil some water and then to top it off until you get to that 1/4 inch around the jar. But I find that when I've removed the skin, there's sometimes still the juice that's in there.
Right.
And I squeeze it, and then I actually top it with that.
Okay.
So once you do that, and again, you wipe around the edge, we're ready to really put that into the oven, and we are going to put it at 212 degrees. And for that, we are actually going to set it for 45 minutes
For the steam oven.
for the steam oven. That's right.
And
So-
when I take the tomatoes out, I take the skin off, Marilyn.
Yes.
Do I need to de-seed the tomatoes, or I can keep it as a whole?
Just keep it as a whole.
Okay.
Yeah, so you don't have to. Now, if you have a preference and you would like to do that, then sure, you can actually do that. It just takes a longer process but if you want to be fast and simple to get this done, just keep the seeds all in there,
Okay.
which is fine.
Perfect. I'm going to just check again because I think we're getting there.
Yeah,
It still
is it?
needs a little bit of time,
Okay.
a little bit more time.
And then we're looking to see then, even now with the yogurt there, is that what I set it in there. So that's just settling nicely in there. It's just a very slow process for this to be made. So I would encourage any of our viewers, if they have made yogurt as well, to let us know how it's turned out and how they've made it. Because there's so many different ways as well. When you are preparing yogurt, you can make a fruit version of it too. Where you can put it into a container, into one of the jars. Like I find that sometimes going to the store, it's already set, so you could have a jar that you've put your fruits on the bottom, your yogurt in there, so you can prepare that for the week, which is really nice. But I just find that a lot of times that we can make things at home, especially now being at home. I find there's a lot of people that are canning, that are making bread as well, or yogurt. So a fun activity that you can do as well with the kids.
So while we're waiting, Marilyn, I'm going to
Yes.
share with our viewers a great initiative that we started.
Yes.
So that's the first noise of the tomatoes being done.
Okay.
It just has to
Yeah, sure.
steam reduction. But we launched a great initiative last week. Here in Miele, Canada, we understand the challenges that a lot of local small businesses are going through during these times. And we wanted to do what we could help support some of those small businesses. So last week, if you go on our Facebook or Twitter and follow us, you'll be able to see that we launched a new campaign called #MieleDinesLocal. And what this initiative really is about is we want to hear from those local small restaurants in your neighborhood across the country what their signature dish is. And then we want to invite those restaurateurs, those chefs, to come on with us. In a lot of cases, it may be virtually, but we want to come on and share on some episodes of Miele Live their signature dish. And what we will do as well, it allows them to promote their restaurant. In addition to that, we are going to actually purchase 100 meals from them that we will actually donate to the frontline workers. So this is hashtag Miele Dines Local. It'd be great if any of you are on Facebook, Twitter, to go ahead, follow us there and share those posts. We're really excited about that initiative. And we'll actually be seeing the first restaurateurs and chefs join us next week on Miele Live, so be sure to check out that schedule. So I know, Marilyn, it's done.
Yes.
I'm gonna head over there.
Yep.
Steam reduction.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So I can see already where it's loosened around where you scored.
Absolutely.
Actually.
So it really has loosened up the
Yes.
skin. I'm going to quickly get these into the water bath.
Yep.
Ooh, that's hot. I may need to borrow. Thanks,
Yes.
Marilyn.
No problem.
Borrow some tongs.
So what we're doing now is we're actually shocking that now to stop the actual cooking process around the tomatoes itself.
Right.
And by doing that, putting it into the cold bath, it's, as I can see, it's really already starting to peel the skin. So
Yeah, the
that'll
peeling is
be-
going to be pretty easy at
Yes.
this point.
Yeah. So sometimes it's hard to believe that 14 of those tomatoes will probably fit in that jar. So I may be, give or take one, maybe not, but it's usually about that.
All right.
So let's actually,
So I'm going to put the tomatoes into
Yeah.
here.
yep,
I'm going to go ahead and peel. I'm going to put the skins here.
yes,
Yeah, that comes right off.
yes.
If you can see that very, very easily.
Mm-hmm. And this is what's nice as well with the kids at home. They can just, once it's gone into the cold bath, it really cools the tomatoes down quite a bit that they should be able to handle it.
And I know my kids, when I make homemade tomato sauce, the one thing
Yes.
that they don't like about it is actually the skin.
Oh, yes.
So actually this process of actually just blanching it in the
Yes.
steam oven,
Yeah,
and it comes right off very, very easily,
right.
would be great for homemade tomato sauce.
Exactly.
So I'm going to go ahead and remove these.
Yeah.
So you're saying I'm going to leave these whole now once we actually start
Yes.
the canning process?
Yeah.
Oops.
I mean, there's nothing to say, because what you're going to notice, and why I say leave it whole, because some people might decide that they're going to cut them in half to put them, but when you're putting them into that jar, you're giving it, once it's all in there, you're going to be giving it a bit of a squeeze.
Okay.
So it's going to squish it down. So it's probably better when you don't cut them actually. That way it'll still hold that shape.
And again.
Yep.
Now this process of actually taking skin off,
Yes.
can I do this for other,
Oh, yes.
whether it's apples or whether it's,
Yes.
I don't know what else.
It could be even for potatoes sometimes, when you are going to be
Yeah, that's,
making some potato salad and you want to skin the
Right.
potatoes, you can actually just blanch them really quickly as well. It won't be as delicate as that because you can see the juice from the tomatoes on there because the potatoes will be firm, but at
Right.
least it will help in the process of removing the skin. So a lot of times as well with the skin for the tomatoes, some people what they like to do is you can make, I know this might sound a little bit different, but tomato skins that you've put in the oven
okay.
on dehydration, let's just say, and it's like tomato chips
Okay.
that's in there. So, but I never kind of get a chance to make that because, like I said, I do squeeze it really tight in order to
Get the most
get
juices
the most
out
juice out of that. Yes, exactly. Okay.
Actually, another suggestion from a viewer, thanks for that, is peaches.
Yes,
That's
absolutely.
that would be a great
Peaches
one.
would be great. Yes.
Thank you to our viewers out there
Yes.
for watching us. I'm almost done here.
Almost done. Okay, no worries. But really, it's fast because when
It
you
is
think
fast.
about how it came out of the oven where we had it on blanch, and then now we're just literally removing the skin on there. So
Mhm. 2 more to go.
Yeah.
And how long, Marilyn? So after I've canned these tomatoes,
Yes.
and we've obviously sealed them properly,
Yes.
how long can I keep these?
Up to a year.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. I don't
So
know
really
if they
wha-
would last up to a year, depending on how much tomatoes. Like I go through a lot of
Right.
tomatoes for sauce as well. So, but it can store for up to a year.
All right.
Okay. So
Done.
before you actually, yep.
Gonna take that off to the side.
So now what I'm just going to recommend is that you squeeze the juices out of the skin just into the bowl where you've put the tomatoes.
Okay.
That way all the juices are in there and you'll see how much will actually come out of that.
So there's really no elegant way to do
Yes.
this, unfortunately.
Which I find this is a great way of doing it as opposed to adding just regular water on there that you've boiled, really.
Right.
Right. So,
I'm going to put this back. And for those kids that love to play with slime right now,
I
because
know, yeah,
that's certainly
exactly.
the
yes.
in thing. This is,
Yep.
they would love doing this, as my
Exactly.
daughter would.
Yes.
All right.
I think I can guess which one.
Yeah.
Okay, so now what we're going to do that you finish this process
Mm-hmm.
is you'll take your jar
Okay.
and
I'm just going to quickly wash
Sure.
my hands.
Sure. And in your jar, Kelly, what you're going to do is you will add 2 tablespoons of lemon juice.
And
So
what does that do, Marilyn?
It's actually, it controls the level for the acidity
Okay.
that's in there, and it's kind of recommended that you can do fresh if you want, but when it's a bottled lemon juice as well, that acidity level has been controlled in the amount. So it's one of the preferred choices, really. So 2 tablespoons will go on the bottom.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. And then what I'm going to recommend is to put
We're
the
gonna take
funnel
funnel.
in.
Okay.
Yes. Because now that gives it, it's clean going in.
Okay.
And now we're just going to, literally, you can just add or you can just scoop it. So,
I can take,
yeah, or the tongs if you like, exactly. And put that in there.
and I can just drop them in
Yeah,
like
just
that?
drop them in. And one of the things that you may want to do is when you fill this up, you may want to use the stick that we have that has the measurement in there, because when you push it down, you want to kind of remove any air pockets
Okay.
that's in there. So keep pushing it right in,
Okay.
because I can see when you on your jar on the side here,
Okay.
I can see there's a lot of room in there. Yeah. How many tomatoes do you have left in there, Kelly? Approximately? 5?
6, 7.
Oh, okay. Let's just keep going a little bit more.
Now I did do more than
Oh,
the
did you?
number.
Okay.
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I did. So is that about right?
I would try and... Okay, so what you should do now is just remove the funnel just for a second, and then use your stick that you have,
Okay.
and just run it on the inside of the jar, and then, because
So
you're
I'm
going to
just
go
gonna go
around,
like
you'll
this?
see... No, the other way. Sorry, the long where you're holding it. Yeah, that should actually go into the jar
okay.
itself. Yeah.
Right in?
Yes. Right in, and then as you turn the jar, you'll see like these pockets in there, air pockets that, and you want to
I see, okay.
fill that up. So you may be able to, at the end of that, put in another tomato. Yeah, see, I can see there's room in there too. Okay, so I would just put your funnel back on, and then just to put another, probably a tomato can fit in there, you think? A small one?
I can put a small one.
Yeah. Okay, oops.
Now
Yeah,
I'm
just be
pretty much
careful.
at the
That's
top.
it. Yep, because it's coming over a bit.
Yeah.
So, okay, that's fine. Just remove the funnel, and then let's just get a cloth just to wipe along the edge of the tomatoes. There you go.
Yep. Thank you.
And definitely you want on top of the ring.
Right. So I want to
'Cause-
get up here.
Yeah, up here and on top
And-
of the actual ring
right.
itself, because when the lid goes on there.
I may have filled this one up a little too much.
Ah, it's okay. If you find that you fill it a little bit too much, take your little measuring spoon there,
Right.
and you might want to take just a spoon of the juice out on here. But I think you got, because remember, it's going to contract as
Right.
well, and when the heating process is going on there. So I might actually tell you to take one little spoon out of there, Kelly,
Okay.
just to be safe. Yeah, that's good. Perfect. So we've got that all dried. And then now we're just going to put the lid on
Okay.
and just regular twist, not over tight. Yeah,
Okay.
not too over tight. And then we're going to actually put it into our perforated tray.
All right.
Yes. And now we're going to go into where you blanch the tomatoes.
Do that.
Yeah. Okay, so
Perfect.
for this now, what you want to do is you want to go in, and we're not going to choose, you can choose canning. Let me just
Under
think of the-
special modes.
Yes. And I just want to read what it says on there for a
Canning.
second.
And so it says, well, descale appliances soon. That's
Yeah.
not it.
Yeah.
Temperature setting.
Okay, so
212.
212.
Yep.
And then
And
time,
time, yep.
45 minutes.
45 minutes. So actually, I could have been the
Because
other
we're
way.
doing 1 liter that's in there.
All right.
Okay, and then you're just pressing OK. And now you'll leave that in there.
Perfect.
Okay. And again, we've already made a couple of these bottles.
Mm-hmm.
So
Let's get that out of the way. Which is great.
yeah. So what we should actually point out to our viewers for that, Kelly, is that when you have that perfect seal on there, just press the top of the lid itself, and you'll find that if it doesn't spring back, it's because it's got that seal now,
Yep.
right?
Absolutely.
So if we were to open one of these, what would end up happening is that you'll hear that pop because of it being released. But one of the reasons I made 2 bottles is because the first one I filled it up completely and made sure I had enough and filled it up with the juice. The smaller little bottle there is, I filled it, but I didn't have enough tomatoes left. So then I used the juice on the top. So you'll find that you've got the juice on the bottom of these jars right here. So just like that, but that's fine because anytime if you've ever opened a can of tomatoes, you see all that juice that's in there.
Right.
So just to let you know, that's normal to see that on here, but that is it. This is the canning process on here. Everything's been sterilized. We can keep that for a year. To have that, the yogurt is a little bit different because that's usually about 3 to 4 weeks that you're going to be consuming it.
Perfect.
And then that's it.
Thanks,
That's how
Marilyn.
simple it is.
So we do have time for one question because we've actually run way over time on this session.
Oh, sorry.
So Marilyn, I'll throw this one to you. So Donna Robertson. Donna, thanks for joining us today on Miele Live. Donna's question is, does the blanching program allow you to set the time or does it automatically set it itself?
It automatically sets itself, so it's not a time that you can control. So whatever you might be blanching, if you find, usually we find like the 1 minute seems to be enough, but if there's something else that you may be blanching and you're finding maybe the skin isn't coming off or you want it a little bit longer, you can do the second timing again to run it through. But I've never had to run it twice, to be honest with
Right.
you. So it's always,
But on the flip side, Marilyn, if I looked at, for example, can I go less time? Can I manually set that as less time?
not if you're selecting the blanch, but you can do it on the steam.
Right.
If you're just selecting steam, and you know blanch would usually runs about a minute, so you want it for half a minute, put it on the 212 and just put for 30 seconds on there.
Right.
And that's it.
Yeah, because when I looked at actually, in the case of the tomatoes, I
Yeah.
think maybe because the tomatoes are so fresh,
Yes.
but I probably would have blanched those for 30 seconds,
Okay, yeah.
not a minute, because
Yes.
it was coming apart. So Donna,
Yeah.
that's a good point.
That is a great question.
And you would just not use the blanching program, you would program it manually to be able to do that. So hopefully you'll get the results. Well, thanks, Marilyn.
welcome.
Another fun session with you. I know you'll be back with us on Friday,
Yes.
where we're going to actually utilize the grill elements on the Miele 48-inch range, and we're going to do some grilling
Yes.
inside.
That's right. Yes, inside.
inside.
Exactly.
So that'll be exciting. So thanks for that.
Looking forward to that.
So thank all of you for joining us today. We really hope that these sessions have been informative and has helped you, again, as you're at home and you're testing different things with your ovens. One thing I do want to mention is for those of you that are considering buying Miele appliances right now or looking into a new product from us, we've launched our brand new virtual sales consultation process. You can book an appointment on mielelive.ca, and this is very unique as it will actually give you a virtual two-way video conversation with one of our product experts. They will be able to be standing in front of the exact appliance that you're actually interested in. They would be able to, I can't open this one because it's making the yogurt, but I'd be able to go ahead and open the oven, answer any questions that you have. And that's our new Miele virtual sales consultation. Again, as many stores still remain closed, as many of us around the country remain still at home, safe with our families, this is a great alternative for you, our customers. At the same time, if you go on miele.ca and look at our agent locator, many of our retail partners are slowly starting to reopen across different areas of the country. The best place to find those out is on miele.ca and find out where is your closest Miele agent, chartered agent. I do want to thank our agents that have invited their customers to join our Miele Live session today. From the West Coast in Vancouver, we have Trail Appliances, Midland Appliances, Baker Appliances, Avenue Appliances. In Ontario, we have our partners at Tasco Appliances, Goman's Appliances, and Appliance Canada. And in the East Coast side, we have Creative Appliances and Almond Appliances in Montreal. So I want to thank our retail partners for also sharing this and inviting their customers to join us here today. Miele Shop online, I mentioned earlier, continues to remain open. 24/7, we have free shipping right now on many products, so go on miele.ca to see what we have available there. As we're all at home, we just finished Mother's Day. We're going to head into Father's Day upcoming soon. We want to continue to try to celebrate with friends and family. We all do. Another great gift idea is the Miele e-gift card. That's available on miele.ca, so have a look there. And it's an easy way to share a gift to allow your friends or family to buy something that they wish to have in their home. Again, today's Takeout Wednesday. Be sure to check out Miele Dines Local to support your local small restaurants across the country. We'd love to hear from them, so be sure to share with them. On behalf of Marilyn, myself, and the entire Miele Canada team, we want to send a very, very big thank you to all the frontline essential workers across the country that continue to show their bravery, who remain out there providing the necessary services, whether they're medical services, food services, food delivery services, to all Canadians across the country. A very, very big thank you to all of you. We hope you remain safe. We have a session at 5 o'clock today where we're actually going to do some live demonstrations on induction cooking versus gas cooking. We hope you can join us then, and Marilyn will be back with us on Friday to cover off grilling on the 48-inch Miele range. Again, we wish you a great day, have a fantastic afternoon, and we'll see you again on Miele Live.